Alrighty, everyone. Welcome to a evening edition of the Throw-In. Let's wrap up the week. It's Friday, March 24th, 2001. And boy, I gotta tell you, all right, so let me explain to you how this kind of all went down. We got a very, very busy show, a lot to get over, and we will definitely get over what we need to get over. But let me explain to you exactly how we got to this point this evening on this Friday. Everyone who is out there on their way home, we want to wish everyone a safe drive because it is gloomy. It is misting, raining. It's ugly out there. Well, I got home after taking my oldest to softball practice last night. Things were going fine, got a chance to relax on the couch. And as I was headed to bed, man, my back was starting to flare up. And, for those who are know and keep it up with everything that's been going on, I'm waiting on, the date for back surgery, right? I'm going to have back surgery again in my lower back. So we're waiting on everything to kind of come through. So, but I've been given painkillers, medication to help relieve, the pain that shoots down my leg, the pain that I have in my hip and my back in the meantime. And I really only take those on days and times that I really need to take those with. So if you see, it's like if I'm not hurting one day, I'm not going to take them. Like I didn't take them this morning. I didn't need them this morning. I felt good enough where I did not need to take the medication. Last night, going to lay down in bed, it was at the point where I'm like, all right, I need to take something. And so I got two medications. And both medications are where the first time you take it, because it's the first time it hits in your system, you get to the point of kind of being tired and falling asleep. So I took it closer to the midnight, and I was out cold. I woke up maybe once, last night, and then I woke up again at 6, and I was like, you know what? Just give me 15 more minutes to get down, kind of wake myself up. And so next thing you know, it's 10 o'clock, 10:30. And I have my, fiance rolling over on top of me, trying to slow key wake me up. And how she wakes me up is it's more like the whole, she'll kind of roll over, lay on top of me, play, go on her phone and play videos kind of close to my ear, kind of that annoyingness of waking me up. But so then we went out. All right. So, we went out, had to go do a couple things out of, in the town area. And then got the girls from school, not school, but off the bus because it was raining and, ugly weather it's been. And I don't want to, I'm like, you know what? Last week I was talking about nonchalantly doing a program from 6 to 8 last Friday. Never did one. It's like, you know what? That's going to happen. Well, then tonight, I'm like, you know what, man? This show got to go on. It has to happen. So, I'm scheduling more interviews, and for Love's Not Enough, the upcoming play that's going to be taking place on Easter weekend. And we'll talk more about that here in a moment. And so I called up Terry. I was like, hey, listen, can we get you on live? It's the same format as interviews. And you know what? He's been willing to work with me. We kind of been back and forth. The schedule hasn't really been able to line up. Got a couple of interviews tonight. So This is the game plan for this evening. We're going to take a step back. We're going to relax. I want to have a fun 2 hours with you guys. So I'm going to get you guys ready for the weekend in Cincinnati, things to do, things to pay attention for, a couple games that are going on as Sweet 16 continues tonight. So we'll cover a lot of that sports-wise subjects tonight. Cincinnati Reds are currently playing. Last time I checked, they're in the top of the 7th inning, and they're 5-4. So we'll keep you up tracked with that, and we'll get you into the Chicago Cubs. And like I mentioned, we started covering the Cubs back on Wednesday, but then I wanted to reissue a new format. Then we started with the Pittsburgh Pirates yesterday, and one of the things that really encouraged me. All right, gotta get a show done today. Got to get you guys the analytic look of the Chicago Cubs and how their breakdown is for the month of April and for their opening day. And so we got a lot of things booked ahead of us, getting you guys ready for SmackDown tonight, the road to WrestleMania, and we'll talk about that in hour number 1. Hour number 2 is where things kind of get a little bit dicey, but it's on all good measures because Terry and a couple of the cast members and guests are going to come on our program to talk about Love's Not Enough. And I got to tell you guys, you want to be here to watch it at 7, probably a little after 7 when we actually go on, because we got a lot of, we want to talk about the past performance, the present performance. I've already got a chance to speak with the cast member earlier this week. I'm working on post-production, get them up. But this is the great way to start it. And I've been like, dude, great opportunity. Let's go live. Let's put them on the stream and everything. Love's Not Enough was a play. And if you guys were following us back in January, I had a chance to interview the cast members. There was a lot of cast members I was talking with throughout like a short period, put them on this program. And I was like, listen, it's about an upcoming play, Love's Not Enough, basically taking you deep into the story of the 4-letter word just not being enough to, these days. This play, it's a theater play. It's more about, all right, it's about the topics and the subjects that people do not address that really defines relationships and, deals with the outcome and the certainty of the everyday problems that we deal with on a day-to-day basis that we don't necessarily bring to that forefront table. Well, you know what Terry does, has done it. It was an original play back in 2019. He's revamped it. He's added more stories, added more drama, added more comedy to it. I mean, it was a success hit back in January. Well, guess what? We're going to do it. They're going to do it again April 7th at 7 p.m. and then April 8th at 3 p.m. A 2-performance weekend on Easter weekend, you guys. If you guys have anything to, planned in the Cincinnati area, I encourage you guys to head out to the Community Arts Center in Fairfield, Ohio, and get your tickets today. You got to get them online because they cost more at the door, and it books up fast. I tell you, they were telling me about how it was lines were out the door before they even opened. So 7 o'clock hour number 2 of the program is going to really get you guys set in, deadlock into the Love's Not Enough, talk with a couple of cast members, spend up a good majority of the hour covering all that. I really don't know how that's going to work out. And we'll see about how everything, is going, how everything goes down. But, man, we got a lot of sports going on. All right, let me go through my numbers here. All right, number 1. Okay. Number 1 here, we got 6 days away from Major League Baseball opening day. 6 days away, you guys. That means it's 6 days away from seeing the Cincinnati Reds in Hunter Green. It's 6 days away from seeing all 30 ball clubs playing in a baseball game. 6 days away, you guys. And we have the matchup. It is going to be Zach, and I had the matchup. Maybe I still do. Let me see if I have it still. I don't. It's somewhere in my notes. But Hunter Green is going to get the nod for the mound. And we're going to start diving into Cincinnati Reds baseball next week, come Monday. And when we talk about the Reds, you guys, I want you guys to do a couple of things for me. All right. I want to start asking questions and to think about now that we'll be able to address next week on this program starting Monday. And I want you guys to start thinking about goals for the Cincinnati Reds. What kind of goals do you have, or what kind of expectations do you have for the Red Legs? Now, I want you guys to be real when answering this question. And come Monday and come next week, we'll talk vast majority of this. But questions like, what type of team goals do you expect the team to have? You know, with the new MLB rule changes, are you expecting them to hit 120 home runs as a team? Do you expect them to strike out? You know, do you expect an individual pitcher to strike out 100 plus batters in a season? You know, do you expect Hunter Green, for example, to win 20 plus games this year? Do you expect the Reds to be contingency for the wild card this season? And I want you guys to be real. You know, I don't want you guys to go blow off and say, yeah, they need to win the World Series. No, I think that's unrealistic. All right. Yet again, I don't want you guys to sit here and say, yeah, you know what, I expect you guys, I expect them to have the worst record in baseball. At least give these Reds an opportunity, as they progress and as they try to work out this new scheme. But we got questions and we want to answer them next week. And we want to start establishing goals that we may have. Because the way that I see it, we have three type of categories. Three type of roads we could go down by September. Okay. And if, road number one, we're the worst team in baseball. We don't even win 40 games in the season. And I honestly think that's a little excessive about when it comes down to these Reds. You know, if they're anything, like spring training this year, which they haven't been terrible. They went into today's game against the Diamondbacks 13-12. And right now they're currently beating the D-backs 6-4 in the bottom of the seventh inning. Then there shouldn't be a reason why they can't have some sort of successful year. So road number one, worst season of them all, not even winning 50 games. Road number two, playing about 500. They're not in contingency. They're not talking playoff opportunity. They're playing 500 baseball. And then road number three, which is another excessive statement, bold statement from the Reds, which I still believe that could happen. But a lot would have to go right for the Reds and a lot would have to go wrong for all other 14 teams in the National League, is going to the playoffs as a wild card, winning the division, having a playoff year, which would prove a lot of people wrong about what the Reds are capable of doing. One thing is clear, though. Okay, I want you guys to remember this. That come next Thursday, in 6 days, you guys, all 30 teams begin the season 0-0. Not a win, not a loss. And all 30 teams have the equal amount of opportunities to go out there and capture a divisional championship. And that's what the Reds have. Let's be honest right now, come opening day. Don't count the Reds out quite yet. So think about this over the weekend. What are there some goals that you can realistically put for the Cincinnati Reds this season? As a team, as an individual player, do you think Jonathan India, steals 20, 30 bags this year? Larger bags, new rules. Do you see the Reds plus or minus 75? I think that they're kind of sitting right there. Like, Put away the analytics, put away the statistics, put away the numbers that the people generate back there in the analytic rooms. Let's talk about, as a fan, what do we expect out of the Cincinnati Reds? Because at the end of the day, we could sit on behind this screen. We could talk about the Reds all we want. We could talk about how good they are. We could talk about how crappy they are. But the difference changer is only how the Reds can play out there on the film. And they've already admitted that they haven't played the best of baseball last season. They let a lot of people down. And not only we feel it, they understand that. So we want to see this year, is there going to be a difference involved into that? All right. So when we come back from break, I want to break down the NCAA tournament. I want to get you guys ready for the Reds weekend. Break down the NCAA tournament because Xavier plays tonight. Big matchup going on. Other numbers on the streak here. 7 days away from the WWE Hall of Fame. Okay? 7 days where Rey Mysterio will be inducted into the Hall of Fame and potentially have a WrestleMania match. Now, we'll talk about SmackDown because SmackDown's going to be up until the night. And a conversation there to talk about because a headline of SmackDown says, Dominic Mysterio confronts the Mysterio family before, trying to get his father, Ray, to agree to face him. But a couple other things that are also happening, entering WrestleMania, entering SmackDown tonight. We will see Cody Rhodes seeks to notch a win over Imperium's Ludwig Kaiser, however you say his name is. I don't know. Rey Mysterio aims to say good night to LA Knight, who is kind of sinking out of a WrestleMania match, who I know he's kind of been lingering around in that conversation. Drew McIntyre, Sheamus, and Gunther to sign a contract for the Intercontinental title match at WrestleMania. So a busy night on SmackDown. As a matter of fact, I think this is a busier night than what Raw had earlier this week. But there's a conversation that I want to have with you guys about a WrestleMania match that has really kind of gone a wayside, and what maybe are alternative options. So we got a busy program this evening for 2 hours, talking with Love Not Enough cast members, visiting with Terry and all the good people here. Okay. If you guys are watching us on YouTube, we thank you. We welcome. Hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Be sure to press on those notifications so don't miss this episode. If you guys are watching us on Facebook or on Twitter, be sure to hit that like button, share it with a friend, invite them over, especially in hour number 2. We got a lot to talk about. Some fine guests on our show that we want to share with you. If you guys are also downloading us and taking us on the road wherever you guys are going, whether you guys are listening to us at work, at home, while you're doing chores around the house, we thank you. We appreciate, for you guys making us your wrestling program. All right, let's take a break. Let's take a timeout. Come on back and let's talk about get you guys ready for the weekend. You guys are listening to the TNC Sport, the Throw-In with Justin. That's me right here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. Alrighty, it is 6:22 here on a Friday evening. Welcome back to our program, taking you guys up until SmackDown at 8 o'clock here. At 8 o'clock on Fox. We're all just days away from WrestleMania. I want to give a big shout out to our pals over there at StreamYard Studios, the proud home of the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel, and all guests on our show is given to you by StreamYard Studios. Create your podcast, videos, host virtual business meetings, and even conduct interviews. Check out their free version today at StreamYard.com. And this is how fun StreamYard is. If you guys are looking to create your own StreamYard account and broadcast or do podcasting, whatever the case may be, I'm just in about 40 minutes from now, I'm going to be sending Terry the link to the program. And when his guests come on, we're going to sit down and say, all right, let's do an episode. Let's do come on the screen and let's go on a chat. And we'll talk about Love's Not Enough, which is a play that will be aired April 7th, April 8th, 2 nights only at the Fairfield Community Arts Center in Fairfield, Ohio. Tickets are still available. Go check them out today. Alrighty. So, one number I forgot to mention before the break was WrestleMania 39 Night 1, 8 days away now, which I think is fascinating, incredible. But I want to do a rapid fire understanding for you guys in the world of sports. Now, I had a lot of this ready from last night. Didn't really do a lot of other prep work. So what I have for you here is everything but college baseball. So I apologize for not covering Cincinnati, Xavier, and or Kentucky's baseball. We start off with the Cincinnati Reds, who is currently leading the Arizona Diamondbacks 7-4 in the top of the 8th inning. And we got let me see if I could get any box scores wise as out of today's game. So far, we had Hunter Green, most likely our last outing of the spring. He's gone 4 innings, given up 3 hits, 2 walks, and 2 strikeouts. And we heard earlier this week, thanks to the Lock on Reds podcast, and I want to give him a big shout out over there, is that Luke Weaver will begin his season on the IL, which most likely now changes things up because it would bring Luis Cessa from the original bullpen spot over to the number 4 slot in the rotation, which means the 5th spot is still up for grabs between Brandon Williamson and Connor Overton. And I'm right now, at the end of this week, I'm going to lean towards Connor Overton, so that then Brandon Williamson is going to go down to the minors. I think the only thing that really kind of puts a damper of the potential way that the Reds start their season is that with Luis Cessa in that 8th slot of the bullpen, he could pitch every 6 days if needed. He could also pitch if guys are getting into jams and you want him to go for a longevity hole. So it's kind of a bummer, moving his position. And I'm pretty sure he's aware of what was happening out there in the World Baseball Classic. So, but yeah, it's already a little bit of news. But you know what? For the most part, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm pretty satisfied with the Reds. And one thing I think I'm more satisfied with the Reds now than they, was a year ago, is that they started the season off with a lot of healthy guys. And I know we still have guys that are slowly coming back. I still think Joey Votto, when he comes back making the opening day roster, he may not be the same Joey Votto for a couple of weeks because he hasn't got the outing. Same thing with Nick Senzel. Who knows when his readiness will be, because he missed majority of spring because of an injury of a big toe. Bullpen wise, same way. But they're paying the Arizona Diamondbacks tonight. They're currently in progress. Top bottom of the 8th inning, 7-4 Reds. The Redlegs lead. They fell short last night to a tough battle, 17-6. Was a final score in their loss. And this is how the weekend will wrap up for the Redlegs. They'll be home tomorrow at the Goodyear Stadium, playing at 9:05 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. They'll be taking on the Chicago White Sox. And then they'll have Lance Lynn taking on Connor Overton. And we saw Brandon Williamson. I don't know if he's going to get another outing. I see Luis Cessa also getting an outing, because on Sunday, you'll have a doubleheader. You have one against Cleveland at 4:05, and then you have a 4:10 matchup against Colorado, both on the road. So that's kind of how the spring training works when spring, by the time we come on air tomorrow, the Cincinnati Reds spring season will conclude. We'll have stats, numbers, stuff ready to go for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We got a lot to talk about, probably a little bit more than what I can explain here on this program this afternoon. So we'll get ready to talk about all of that because we got 4 days to build up on top of WrestleMania, which is only 8 days away now. So that's how your Red Legs look this weekend. We also have some hockey. Game 2 of a 3-game road trip series for the Cincinnati Cyclones. They took care of business back on Wednesday, beating the Utah Grizzlies 6-4. They will meet them again tonight at 9:10, facing the Grizzlies, and then they'll go ahead and play the Grizzlies one last time at 5:10 on Sunday. So if you're looking for some ECHL hockey, trying to still, season's winding down, but we're trying to still grow in the standings, separate ourselves from the Toledo Walleyes and especially the Indy Fields. So that works there. NCAA basketball Sweet 16 began last night. Kansas State, I chose Kansas State to win. They took care of business 98-93. I had Arkansas beating Utah, but Utah advances to the Elite Eight, 88-65. And then we have Tennessee losing to UAB, and then Gonzaga picking up an impressive victory over UCLA. And so how it's gonna go down is that this is a weekend thing here for basketball. Let me get my phone working because I have the schedule laid out here. And tomorrow, the Final 8, the Elite 8, FAU will take on Kansas State. And then UConn will take on Gonzaga. Well, no, that's tonight. Wait, is that tonight? Let's see. Interesting. Oh, that was for the NIT, I think. Okay, let me read out. All right, so tonight we have San Diego State. No. How does this work? Well, let's go back to yesterday. Maybe I'm reading this completely wrong. And it wasn't Utah. Excuse me. All right, so I got everything all mixed up. All right, we had UConn beat Arkansas, and then we had FAU beating Tennessee. And I don't know where I got those other teams coming from. All right. So on Saturday, we will see Kansas State taking on FAU, and then we'll see UConn taking on Gonzaga in the Elite Eight. And then tonight, which just started kicking underway, San Diego State takes on Alabama, and I chose Alabama. Houston takes on Miami at 7:15. I chose Houston. Princeton is taking on Creighton. I choose Creighton. And then Xavier is taking on Texas, and I've chose our Xavier team heading into the tournament. So if basically these eight teams, the 4 winners tonight will go on and face each other on Sunday. When we come back Monday, we will have the final 4 with you guys. So a lot of basketball to talk about there. So I guess that's how I kind of got a chance to get through my NCAA tournament. I want to apologize for that. All right. So, all right. Let's get down to this. I think I got a little bit of time. And I want to get to you guys and share the screen. Let's share the screen because let's talk about the next baseball team at the forefront. And for me, this is, let's do that. I'm going to put myself up here. up here in the corner. And we're going to do media. There we go. Let's enlarge that. I want people able to see everything that I'm seeing. There we go. There we go. I think I got that nice and settled. All right. It is something that has worked. No, don't want to. I just want to go ahead and show this. All right. So, and let me even see if that works on our. I'm learning new things in StreamYard all the time, you guys. So let's see. I gotta save it. Custom layout, one save layout. There we go. Yes, we got this working. Let me just find it on YouTube. Okay, so you hear myself. All right, so this is the type of night we're taking. All right, let's get to you with the Chicago Cubs. So as you can see that they are playing the split squad, game 1 and game 2 against the game 1 with Texas Rangers. They're winning 5-3 today. And then they'll play the next one against the Cleveland Guardians tonight at 8:05. And the Reds they're on the road, so they don't have to worry about that. All right. So the Chicago Cubs, which is going to be the second team that we are going to be facing after the Pittsburgh Pirates. Okay. And they get to kick things off against Milwaukee at home. And I'm like, okay, that's going to have a nice, tough battle for themselves to take on Milwaukee. Now, they've went out and they've added some new and improved, team, players to help improve their roster. We'll get to that. But is it enough to get back on top of the NL Central? And I think that is the ultimate question that I think has to be asked. So here's how their month of April begins. They kick off a 3-game series against Milwaukee, and then they head down south to face us, the Cincinnati Reds. And afterwards, they go back home to face a couple of West Coast teams in the Texas Rangers and in the Seattle Mariners. And then they're going to stay against West Coast teams for the most of April, jumping out to Los Angeles and to face the Dodgers in a 3-game series. They'll go on to face Oakland in a 3-game series, coming back home for a 4-game series against the Dodgers. Now, the Dodgers, I believe is it a London series? It's a London series luggage tag presented by Airline America. Okay, so that's the giveaway. So this is kind of, and then they have a day off. They face the Padres and they face the Marlins. And so the Cubs don't hesitate to face their own division in 6 games. And then they got to also face the Seattle Mariners, who were a threat to the division in the AL West last year. And then the Texas Rangers, who have made significant changes in their franchise last season. West Coast team, time differentials, all by the time they settle down to face Oakland, they could get a couple games in before they have to come back home and face the Dodgers in a 4-game series, who, even though they've unloaded some of the guys, and we'll get a chance to see Dodgers and Cody versus Cody Bellinger, but then they got to face the Padres, which are dangerous teams right off the bat. So, not to walk on, and all depends how Texas kind of kickstarts their season. the Cubs could really find themselves struggling in the month of April with what they have. So I'd be on the lookout of how that first month for Chicago. And I think it's nice because it's the motivation of being able to get off to the season on a right start that really trolls how the rest of the season progresses. So when we come back from break, because we got to take break, we'll quickly run down the roster and the depth chart and kind of guys that kind of stick out to us this season for the Reds before we talk a little bit about SmackDown. Like I said, huge number, hour number 2 coming up. All that still to come. You guys are listening to The Throw-In right here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel.
I've been working on myself. I really try my best to change, but something's in a love affair. Right? Maybe we say that everything's the same. Just a little fake soon. Right?
I know that this is off schedule, usually how I normally do things, but I got to give a big shout out to the guys and the people and the platform of Epidemic Sound. Discover your world-class artists, composers, and bands to find the perfect soundtrack and give your social media accounts the music they deserve. Epidemic Sound is a royalty-free music link. For more information, check out epidemicsound.com. Cry When It's Over by Lupus Nocte and Zero. You know what? I'm just trying to kind of also bring up some new, music from playing the same thing over and over and over again, as much as, people really don't like it, right? I don't think you guys like it. So, they, found it this afternoon. I'm like, you know what? I gotta share it to everyone. And there you go. That's why I have it here. All right. We're talking about the Cincinnati Reds. We're talking about their roster and their lineup, and let's get to the depth chart, because I got to know what we're facing up here. And like I said, a lot of this seems very familiar, so we're not going to spend too much time on it, but Marcus Stroman is one guy on the top of the rotation that, is a good addition. Kyle Hendricks, Drew Smiley, Jameson Tyone, Justin Steer saw plenty last year, working his way up through the change. And that looks like your starting 5. And the biggest question coming out of the rotation for the Chicago Cubs, and I think it's also related to the same rotation problem that Pittsburgh has, is that these are good athletes, but it's all dependent on the type of season that you're going to see out of each individual. Now, you would think that a starting rotation like this should give you a solid 85, 90 wins on the season. And that very well be the case. But if Marcus Stroman goes out, or if he's not having a couple good outings, it's also, I feed off of you and you feed off of me. And, one thing that we'll talk in depth next week is about how the Cincinnati Reds first 3 pitchers, Hunter Green, Graham Ashcraft, Nick Lodolu, it's going to be kind of who can be the better pitcher. They're going to thrive to be better than each other. Marcus Stroman knows how good he is. Kyle Hendricks knows how good he is. But just like batting in the batting order that you consist of, it's more prone to, all right, if Marcus Stroman goes out there and he only gives me 4 innings, giving up 7 hits and only allowing 3-4 runs and only striking out 2, Hendricks is going to want to go out there and top that, but at the same time, that could rub off to him in the negative way as well. Now, you look at the other guys that are in the depth chart, like Keegan Thomas and Hayden Riznicki, excuse me. That, one of those, that's one of the guys that we talked earlier this year that had stand out in spring training. And maybe a Keegan Thomas, if you're in that rebuilt sensation where, all right, this season's not going the way we want it to go down, and you're building off of something and you want to keep on working, then maybe guys like Javier Assad or Hayden comes to mind. Keegan Thomas is another guy that you want to get them outings. But the Cubs, although they're trying to build, they're looking to win at the same time. We jumped down to that bullpen, and I've experienced Brad Boxberger, being a Padres fan, Rowan Wick as well. We see Michael Fulmer, who I've always seen him as a starting pitcher. He's moved down to that bullpen session, so he's going to help out. There's just not too many guys that really is intriguing, and it draws my attention saying, oh no, we really have to watch out for them. But at the same time, with the Reds roster that we have now, we should be like, all right, well, this should be an easy run. Well, at the same time, when you got a Brad Boxberger going up against a guy like Ellie De La Cruz in the midst of the season, that may be a completely different story. Jumping down to Yan Gomes and Tucker Barnhart as the Cubs' two catchers. And, this is where you understand that Chicago baseball is played differently than Cincinnati and David Bell, because they only have two catchers, and it's going to be bittersweet the first home series, because we see Tucker Barnhart as one of those guys that is going to be doing the catching behind the plate and playing against us the first time, I believe, in a few years, or since he got traded. And I'm a Tucker Barnhart fan, so it's kind of a bittersweet moment. Eric Hosmer, Trey Mancini, the top two guys over there at first base. We're gonna probably go back and forth between first base and the DH. In my personal opinion, you got a righty and a lefty there, and the Cubs, I think, are planning on using that hefty. Eric Hosmer didn't have the season, career that I think a lot of Padres fans wanted him to have out there in San Diego. So a new look, a fresh opportunity, trying to go to a place that won't judge you right away, trying to get, give you a chance to get back on the swing of things. And maybe you just want to play out there in the West Coast, to be honest, or out there on the East Coast. So hopefully that benefits the Cubs. Nico Horner, your second baseman, Patrick Wisdom, and Desby Swanson, another addition to the Cubs roster this past offseason. Christopher Morel is going to be probably one of your utility guys. You're going to see a lot out there, trying to help fill in some of the blanks and gaps as the Cubs have issues. Ian Happ, Cody Bellinger, Seiya Suzuki are your top three outfielders. Cody Bellinger, and I think this is going to be another thing, like the rotation for the Cubs. It all depends what type of season you're going to get. Is it the season that you're going to get from the last couple years, which is the reason why the Dodgers decided to trade him and let him go? Or is it the season that you're going to get 3, 4 years ago, where it's like, all right, he's going to be an all-star one day. So Cody Bellinger, I think also what maybe changed is that he would, hey, keep him in center field and keep him in that same spot of the lineup. That may help out as well. So overall, Seiya Suzuki, definitely maybe a guy to look out for. I want to say Cody Bellinger and Ian Happ, but it's all, I think it begs to differ on what type of day they have. I know Dansby Swanson's consistent, so maybe keeping an eye out for him, but also pay attention to how they utilize that first base / DH spot, because you still have Patrick Wisdom. And if, Eric Hosmer is not hitting well against lefties, what you could do is throw Trey Mancini out either at first base or at DH and throw in a Patrick Wisdom out there at first, once in a while, or even an Edwin Rios if they keep him up on there on the 26-man roster. It's overall, I don't think that the Chicago Cubs are going to fit at the top of that totem pole quite yet. In the NL Central, they have a little bit to work with, in my opinion, and they kind of have to keep on grinding out. And I never say never, because even the roster for the St. Louis Cardinals is not necessarily, you can say, all right, they're going to automatically win the division or head to the postseason. And even the same way with Milwaukee after we saw what happened last season. So I think we just got to pay attention and see what, I guess, unravels and goes from there. But if you're the Reds, you want to look at these downfalls. All right, where are the faults in the crack for each and every team in the division, and try to use that to your advantage? Is it, like for the Cubs, they have a really solid rotation. So you want to get yourself into the bullpen as quickly as possible, in my opinion. And that's going to change the game plan for the Reds heading into the second series of the year, season, because, for the Reds going up against the Pirates, it's going to be a totally different game plan. You're also going to probably want to make sure for the Cubs, you hit it in gaps, because you got, maybe not to hit it over there to Seiya Suzuki, I believe, out there in the right field. Hit it to Ian Happ. Hit it to left center field. And I know that's a notorious spot for the Reds. So those are the type of things I think we need to look out for throughout the duration of the season and each time we face the Cincinnati Reds. All right, WrestleMania is 8 days away, and SmackDown is ahead of us with Dominic Mysterio set to confront his family. And, we'll be able to talk about this at the end of hour number 2, hopefully, if we have enough time. And this is why I'm mentioning this right now. This is the last WrestleMania match that we do not see confirmed yet on that match card. So if you're looking for, so I'm really expecting a lot to unravel. Now, my concern is that they announced this match tonight. And I don't see why, if you're going down the path of getting the family involved, his sister, his mother, and all those people, then I wouldn't mind seeing the confirmation of the match tonight. But I kind of still stick with next Friday, either on Smack, probably even at the Hall of Fame ceremony. I'm still gunning towards where you can see, Dominic step in and kind of, he make an appearance during the Hall of Fame speech where it becomes the tipping point for Ray, and say, you know what? All right, you want a WrestleMania match, you got a WrestleMania match. But we see a couple other things tonight, and we'll talk a little bit more, because that's probably the main event, because I get to see Cody, and I think that's wonderful. You got to see him take on one third of Imperium in Ludwig. Nothing too shining. Rey Mysterio takes on LA Knight. Dominic's going to be involved. But one of the questions is that we'll come back to the top of the hour with and talking with about SmackDown is WrestleMania. And there's one match that hasn't really been talked about because of we don't know the direction that is going to go down due to health reasons. And we may see a filler. So the coming top of the hour conversation that we're going to have with you guys is, what's the status of Bray Wyatt and Bobby Lashley at WrestleMania? It hasn't been advertised. It hasn't really been promoted. Bray has been out of camera for a while. So, what are the plans and what are backup plans that the WWE may have heading into WrestleMania with Bobby Lashley? Because it's just an adjustment. It's just an injustice not to have Bobby Lashley at WrestleMania in some way or form. So we'll talk about that next coming up. Don't forget, in hour number 2, we sit down with cast members of Love's Not Enough to talk to them about their upcoming re-performance from a successful January event on Easter weekend. So that's still to come. Hour number 2 coming up next. You guys are listening to The Throne One right here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. Alrighty, what's going on, everyone? Hour number 2 here of the program. Just getting back, excited to hour number 2 because we got a couple guests coming on here in this program. We're waiting for you to come. Want to give a big shout out to our guys and friends over there at Spreaker from iHeartRadio, the proud home of the audio platforms of the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. All of our audio podcasts, all the show is founded on the Throw-In. Wherever you guys listen to your podcasts, if that is from Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, Spotify, you name it, we're on there. And if not, let us know. We'll try to get ourselves on there. But I want to give a big shout out to Spreaker. And if you guys are looking to download your own podcast and find a platform, I recommend Spreaker. It allows you to upload hours and hours of content. It allows you to distribute across many platforms. It allows you to see full breakdown analytic comparisons and statistics, as well as be able to monetize your work and get credit. See how the production works. Download Spreaker right now. Check us out there. All right, let's talk to a little bit what hour number 2 is going to be consistent like. Got a little bit of shorter segment right now. And we'll talk about Bobby Lashley and Bray Wyatt, what's going on, and what's the options that we may or may not have. And then coming up in our next segment, which is going to probably be a solid segment. I'm enjoying it. We get to speak with a couple cast members of Love's Not Enough, a theater play written and presented by Terry Chappell II, good friend of mine. He's coming back on here again. We did interviews back in January. If you guys missed those, you guys could check them out on our audio platforms, also on our YouTube channel, where we got them ready, kind of broke down their thoughts and the preparation work. Well, we get to see them again. This time around, they are doing an encore performance weekend on Easter weekend. They'll have a performance on April 7th at 7 p.m. and on April 8th at 3 p.m. at the Community Arts Center in Fairfield, Ohio. Tickets are still available. Check them out today. And you got to trust me. If you want your tickets, you got to go online and get them. They're going to sell out. Trust me. Do not wait until last minute to get your tickets. So we're going to talk to a couple of cast members along, when they come up here in the second segment. And then at the very, very end of the program, we'll go ahead and talk with, we'll go ahead and wrap it up, get you guys ready for SmackDown, and kind of get you guys, just finish wrapping up, get you guys ready and thoughts for the upcoming weekend. Because we also got the Elite Eight going to be going down this weekend. We got 2 games tomorrow. The other 2 of the 4 winners tonight will be playing Sunday. So this is where our deadline is. And that's we'll conclude our weekend. We got a busy week ahead of us. We'll get you all ready for that next week. We're 6 days away from opening day. We are 7 days away from the Hall of Fame. And the showcase is around Rey Mysterio at WrestleMania. Now we will see um one of the matches scheduled for WrestleMania that hasn't been booked, or has been booked, but it hasn't been talked about, hasn't been advertised, is the Bray Wyatt and Bobby Lashley match. Now, there were a couple weeks ago, there were questions about the status and the well-being of Bray Wyatt. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. My first instinct, no matter what, and by the way, let me also do this because I didn't do this yesterday. I want to wish Alexa Bliss a speedy recovery. Has she had to do, could do a procedure to take to get rid of some skin cells that she had, and I don't know the termination. I won't be able to try to pronounce it. I'm not going to try to pronounce it, but she's currently in recovery. And she took it to Twitter confirming her condition, saying, listen, I'm okay. I'm going to come back. Don't worry about me. Take care, make sure everyone takes care of yourself. That's what she said. And so I wish her the speedy recovery. But, I take it very personal. I take it to the heart when someone has a condition, especially in professional wrestling. All right, we hear injuries all the time in baseball. We hear it all the time in football. We hear it all the time in hockey and in basketball. Professional wrestling is a state of mind. Okay, it's a year-round sport which requires you to travel over about 2/3 of the year, especially if you're a full-time competitor. And we've seen what it can do to a body during its career and after its career, mentally, physically, emotionally. And a lot of people can't live with, once they start wrestling, that's their only known profession. They don't know nothing else but professional wrestling. You look at Ric Flair, who had his retirement match, that the last match, at least the final match that he wanted last year. You have the Rock and Roll Express still competing in the ring. Vader, for the longest time, was, he basically died in the ring in the sense. And so in professional wrestling when you have an illness, whether it's physical, mental, you got to take care of yourself. And if this means that Bray Wyatt has to miss WrestleMania, well, you know what? He misses WrestleMania. And so, this is a tough subject, honestly. And this is I wish him the best. Now, the product has to move on. If we don't see Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania, right? Because the last time we really saw something with Bray Wyatt and Bobby Lashley was 3 weeks ago when Uncle Howdy tried to attack Bray, and it didn't really work out the way he wanted it to work out. But what does that mean going forward? Because if Bray doesn't have a WrestleMania match, should Bobby be left out? I remember talking about a conversation about this, how this match just doesn't make sense to me. And to be honest, it doesn't make sense to me still to this day. And I probably will never make sense to me and until I see the creative writing be put in place. It didn't make sense to me to see Brock and Omos. And I really thought for a moment, and I wasn't the only one who thought about this. Our good pals over there at Armchair Booking thought about this. Brock and Bobby at WrestleMania. Hell in a Cell. But then who is prepared to step up to the challenge to face Bobby Lashley at WrestleMania? And one instinct that comes to mind is a name that I'll mention here in a moment that is completely not what the rumors are now lingering. The rumors lingering right now is LA Knight challenging Bobby Lashley at WrestleMania, or trying to answer his call, or answering his call. All right, from my understanding, according to multiple sources, Bobby Lashley is to have a match at WrestleMania, more likely against LA Knight. And I think of that, and I'm just, All right, one, it's a big no. I don't see the purpose of it because it's another quote unquote squash match that we don't need in the WWE. So you wonder, who can Bobby face? And I got two good names that come to mind. One was the recent release this week of Goldberg, but then I still think of that being a squash match, and I don't think that doesn't do anything for anybody. But another name I could see is Bobby Lashley on night 2 come out saying, hey, listen, Bray didn't show up. I want a match at WrestleMania. Somebody come out. And I see Braun Breaker come out, and that's his start to the main roster. There are several rumors and reports that Braun Breaker may be able to be moved up to the main roster. Well, and we've seen it time and time again where, the NXT champion does come up to WrestleMania. This would also be a good test for Braun and how he handles under the last minute call to come up, face Bobby Lashley at WrestleMania with or without that NXT title before he gets eased into, the main roster. I really like Braun Breaker coming up and facing Bobby Lashley. What do you guys think? I mean, I don't think that we should be writing out. Bobby Lashley from WrestleMania. I'm not a fan of that. But how else do you use him? Because you don't want him losing at WrestleMania. At least you're not going to have him lose to LA Knight. You don't have him lose to, if you face a Goldberg, you're not going to have him lose. You're going to have him have a squash match. I don't think it does anything to Bobby Lashley's career. Other people that are planning on coming back, Randy Orton, I don't see the fit. Matt Riddle, I don't see the fit, in comparison. So I really don't know who else is on that roster that does not have a WrestleMania match already that is capable of going toe-to-toe against Bobby Lashley. Brock is already facing Omos. So, who do you guys prefer facing, coming back to face Bobby Lashley if Brock Lesnar or if Bray Wyatt is unable to? Is there anyone on that roster that can do that? Now, this may be all speculation because we just don't know the status of Bray Wyatt. He could show up tonight. I don't know. Right now, my thoughts are no, but we never know. And that's the fun part and the fun and beauty of wrestling. Sometimes you don't want to know what could or couldn't be heading into a program. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to be inviting a couple of guests on. I'm sending out the link right now. All right, when we come back, let's have cast members from Love's Not Enough join our show. Talk with them about their upcoming encore performance weekend, April 7th and April 8th. So, a lot to talk about still. You guys are listening to The Throne right here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. Alrighty, 7:18 here on the program. Thank you guys for tuning in to the throw-in here, taking guys up until 8 o'clock. And we are getting our guest in the studio getting ready to talk about Love's Not Enough, theater play given going to be performed here April 7th and April 8th before they head on to the road over there at the Community Arts Center in Fairfield, Ohio. And so we are just there's going to be a couple of others. So I see Christina down below, and I'm just waiting for Terry and his wife. So please bear with us for a moment. We'll all get started on bring you guys on and talk with you guys here shortly. There we go. We got two waiting for Terry. And I'm going to bring you guys in here in a moment, but all guests on our show is given to you by StreamYard Studios. If you guys are looking to create your own podcast, videos, host virtual business meetings, check out StreamYard.com. Alrighty. All right, so let's go ahead and slowly bring them in, just one by one, right after this quick promotional video.
Like no one cares. Where is your heart? What does it look like? Bruised, damaged, or mistreated. Where is your heart? What does it look like? What do you do with the feelings you feel?
Alrighty. How is everyone doing?
Great. How are you?
Doing wonderful. So just a quick around the board here. I got just have everyone introduce themselves if you don't mind. We'll start off Christina.
Sure. I'm Christina Flowers, and I'm pretty new as a board member to Enlighten Studios, and I'm so pumped about it, and I'm glad to be here. Thank you so much for having us.
Well, thank you for taking the time.
Yeah.
Terry.
Terry.
I'm Terry Chappell II. I'm actually the co-owner of Enlighten Studios, the writer and now actor and director in the upcoming production, Love's Not Enough.
My name is Nikhil Chappell. I am co-owner of Enlighten Studios, and I am the executive producer as well of Love's Not Enough.
Well, I want to first off and thank you guys for taking the time. I know the schedule was kind of we've had to rearrange the schedule for to make all this work, and I appreciate it. But so this is the upcoming play, Love's Not Enough. We had a set of interviews back in January, and that was a hit. Enjoyed doing it. We're going to be doing them again, and you guys are getting a chance to kind of do an encore weekend, correct? April 7th and April 8th, Easter weekend, where you guys, before you guys, I guess, hit on the road, try to share the message out to everybody. You guys can, perform because you guys had a really good hit. Terry, can you explain to us, about the type of success that you guys had back in January?
Well, I'll just say that first, thank you for having us this evening, Justin. This is incredible. We really did enjoy ourselves last time, and thank you for having us back for a second time. I was speechless, and to actually say to a point where Christina, that's how she got on board, because she was just, raving about how good the production was. And, she just caught my attention because she had so much to say about it. And, I was just, I don't want to say starstruck, but I was, because it was just the way that the audience received the many messages that's within this production just blew the cast. Everyone that was involved just blew their mind. We knew that it was going to be good, but how good? I mean, it was off the chart.
So one of the stories I was told was that you guys had a line of an audience, fans, ready to enter in the theater before you guys even opened. As you guys were arriving, there was already people lined up, and that's what I was told. And correct me if I was wrong, but it was so successful. You guys are getting a chance to go back and do it again. 2 performances only. Got one at 7 p.m. on April 7th, and then on April 8th, you got one at 3 p.m. Terry, you've had a couple of cracks at this, right? You had one done in 2019, a revamped version that we had back in 2000 earlier this year, and now you're doing it again. What has gone through your mind, through your experience, getting a chance to see the put on this play as a director and an actor, right? And to see the type of reaction that you're getting from the community?
Well, it just motivates me to do more. God's people want what's real. People want what's real. This is not a Mary Poppins or Wizard of Oz or anything just made up. These stories are real stories. I'll say 20% of the production is actually true stories from what I have taken from some of the cast members' lives. Everything else is pretty much just downloaded into me to write and just give people hope. So
Terry, you're the one who's created this play. You're cast of this play. You're also part of the play. We have 2 new people here joining us this evening that has not been interviewed before. We'll start off with Christina. You're new to the cast, right?
Yes.
When did you officially start? Kind of after the January's performance, is that correct?
That is correct. I was actually an audience member, so I got to experience being the audience of the show. It was amazing. I was super impressed. And honestly, it was literally like a journey that you got to go through with the cast. So you got to experience all these emotions, and it really hit home. It was like reality. So it was super relatable, and it also, like you said, gave hope and increased your faith almost. It's like I almost left feeling like my heart was full. So I had to reach out to Terry and say, "Hey, incredible! Like amazed."
Yeah. So okay. So I kind of already know this answer, but I guess for audience purposes, and I'm not trying to put Enlightened Studios on blast or anything like that, but you come in, you get welcomed by Enlightened Studios. They're a wonderful team. It's more than just a team. It's a family. Can you share your experience being able to work, adapt, get caught up with everything, so that you're ready for whatever, for your role for April 7th and April 8th?
Yeah, so I'm actually executive assistant and board liaison. So I'll be assisting with the production, and also my experience comes in finance and also other administrative and clerical experience. So I've also had some acting and some singing experience. So I'll be bringing literally everything that I have to Enlightened Studios. So I'll just be bringing all that experience in, and they've been super welcoming, super friendly. I noticed quickly that Terry will have a vision and he'll execute. So I'm actually really proud and really honored to be a part of such a great team. Everyone's encouraging. Everyone's kind. They have the spirit of excellence, and I love it.
One thing I've also learned, and I'll give you, I got to tip my hat to you, Terry, and also, and everyone a part of Enlightened Studios, because it's not just about, building. It's about making sure that everyone else gets an opportunity to grow and branch off into their own. Right. I was talking to one of your cast members earlier this week, and she's thriving herself thanks to the success and the platform that, Enlightened Studios has created. And she's working on, becoming, taking her own path also. So we're also welcoming, is it Nikel, right? Just want to make sure I'm saying that right. You're new all to this. This is the first time we're seeing you. So if you don't mind, just a little bit more information about yourself and the role that you play and part of all of this?
Yes. So again, my name is Nikhil Chappell. I am the wife of Terry Lee Chappell. So actually, he and I started this company back in 2018. So I'm not really new. I'm just hidden.
Yeah.
But I'm the CFO, so I handle all the financing and
Okay.
getting us money so we can keep growing, as well as the executive producer. So I'm kind of calling the shots behind the scenes. I
Yeah.
enjoy working with the cast and working with the crew. And like you said, they're very much like family. So we're a ministry first. We love to say that we're a ministry first. And we are a fine arts and theater and film company second. So it's really just to give God the glory, the honor. That's what we're here for. And we want to treat our cast and crew and audience like family when they come and visit us and stay with us. And we bring a lot of volunteers just from our audience who want to participate and grow with us.
So as Terry, as you grow, Enlighten Studios, as you grow on the production, you saw such a huge success, being and you also had to step in yourself and play one of the main cast members. So as you're focusing on the production of the play, you're really relying on Nikhil and Christina to kind of help you take a load off of you. And that's a unity. Can you kind of share your insights of kind of like how has everything been able to kind of sync together to make all this possible?
Well, I mean, I have to give Nikhil all the credit. She really rocked it backstage. She was up in the booth. She was controlling the running along with the script and controlling the sound, the lighting, you name it. And she's calling the shots. We have two other stage managers that's backstage, and they're all communicating. Now, I will say that me being first time acting, I was thrown in there, but all along it was the setup, because we casted Brandon, the role Brandon, who actually playing me. We casted that role 3 times, and what I would do is I would fill in during rehearsals. I would fill in for that role, and so that role wouldn't be missed, or so that my scene partner would be able to rehearse properly. So it was kind of a setup for me to get ready to take on, that lead role. But it's just been phenomenal the way that Nikhil operated everything. I remember there were a few times where I'm backstage waiting for my next scene, and here I am trying to direct and get ready for my scene, and they're like, "No, you be quiet. Nikhil said to do this. You need to be quiet. You're acting right now." So I had to learn to back off, let Nikhil run it, and bringing Christina on board, to assist as much as possible. We just want to run it and make it everything goes smoothly, where the cast can enjoy themselves, and especially the audience.
So we're talking about Love's Not Enough. April 7th, April 8th, right? 2 more performances. There's kind of hints that how you guys or how are you I've been told you guys are adding things, maybe changing, tweaking a little things here and there. What's going to be a little bit different that the audience can look forward to seeing this time around than just the one that we saw about 2 months ago?
Well, you're going to see Brandon more.
Okay.
I'll say that. We will see Brandon more. We'll see Brandon get to interact with some of the other cast members, which is actually feedback that we got from the audience. And one thing that I like to do is I like to get reviews from not only the cast, but also the audience, because I want to make it as good as possible. Being a director and writer, you can't see everything. And a lot of times when writing, it's almost like looking through the eye of a scope. You only see what you can see. So, opening up to others and allowing feedback has been, I think, is what has helped this production be so successful.
All right, so Nikhil, you're doing a lot of the work behind production, a lot of things that a lot of times you don't get the not the attention, but the credit for, right? And we like to make sure you get enough credit. So coming into this time around, right? This is from 2 months, right? After 2 months from your last time around. Is there things that you get worried about still, or things that you're trying to work on getting better at, or as a team working behind the scenes trying to get better? Is there a different game plan than the first time approaching it? You know what I'm saying? Kind of just what is the new forefront, focus and coming this time around?
So I would say back in January, I think it was just nerves in general, being nervous about, will the show sell? Will people really enjoy what we're gifting them? And that was just nervous energy, I believe. And then once we got started, it was so comfortable. So this time around, I feel as if it's going to be 10 times better because we've already run through it a couple times and we know the blocking, we know the lighting and the sound effects, everything is already in place. So it's kind of just putting small little finishing touches on what we all have already created. So I wouldn't say there's too much that I'm worried about. In general, it's really has become comfortable now. And you're just kind of adding the little tweaks here and there to perfect what we've already put together.
Christina, this is your first time around. This coming up here in April, you're gonna, from watching it in the audience, now being behind the scenes and being a part of making this all possible and creating the magic, out there on the stage. Kind of what is going through your mind? Are you nervous? Are you do you have a game plan set in your head that say, all right, this is how I'm going to be able to contribute? Kind of what's going through your mindset right now, knowing that this is going to be a completely different experience for you?
Yeah, I am super excited. I'm not nervous just yet. I'm just going to be available and ready for whatever needs to be done. I just want to be a part of what God is doing, and I can't be more excited than that. I'm just so excited.
So, Love's Not Enough, April 7th, April 8th. Tickets are still available, but I've been told you should be able to get them online, because you may not be able to get them at the door. Because I know that it's going to be packed, and hopefully it is packed. A big weekend. What made you guys decide that, hey, Easter weekend was going to be the perfect time slot for Love's Not Enough again?
Well, that was pretty much the executive producer's decision. So I'll let her answer that.
So actually it was God's decision, the Holy Spirit. We prayed, and there was absolutely no other time we could have done it if we wanted to, because the facility was booked before and after that date. The only reason that date was available was because people they're closed. The facility is actually closed for Easter weekend. So I definitely have to give props to Jason, who is over the manager over Fairfield Community Arts Center. Yes. He riled the troops and got the volunteers to step in and said, hey, you'll get time and a half if that's something that you are interested in doing. And people enjoyed it so much the first time that they said they would come in on that holiday, and that's how we were able to get it.
I think that's a blessing in disguise, because the moral, focus point of the play and the story, it's all related, all connected to the weekend as well. I know we talked about in the past about trying to expand, trying to grow, take this on the road. Have you had any luck in the coming up here in the future, having this go on the road and travel a little bit?
So that's definitely the talk.
Yeah.
And that's something that we will certainly go after once we come to the table after the production. We really want to get this message out and get it around to people. People need to hear these stories. We had one audience member who was looking for me, but I was so afterwards, and this was one of the shows in January. She was so touched by the story that she broke down crying and wanted to thank me for writing her story. Now, I've never met this woman. However, it was very honoring and it humbled me that I was able to write someone's story that I never even met. And I'll just tell you a little bit about the story. The story was she gave up her kid for adoption 30 years ago. So she carried that burden for 30 years. And because of what she saw in the production, she felt that burden lifted off of her. So it gave her hope and allowed her to be grateful for giving her kid up for adoption and not going, the other way.
I mean, because, after hearing everyone's role, what the story is about, and the true message about what you're trying to perceive, it's true to the testament here that almost everybody that watches this play can relate in some way, shape, or form, even if it's that small scene, it only gets like 2 minutes of its time. They can always relate to, one of the, stories that are being told, because it's not just about, Brandon and his story. It's everyone has a different message and a different role they play to, send the message to the audience. Well, we're looking forward to this play coming up April 7th. Do you want to talk a little bit more about details and what we should be doing and looking for?
Well, I will say one thing is for sure. I encourage to get your tickets ahead of time. If you have to come to the venue 2-3 hours early just to pick up your tickets, hey, there's an Applebee's right down the street. You can go have lunch or a dinner and enjoy yourself before the show. But I really, really, really encourage everyone to purchase their tickets early because we're starting on time. Last time, all 3 shows, we started late because the line was out the door and everyone wanted to wait last minute to get their tickets. And we didn't want them to miss the show. So this time we have to start the show on time because we want to get everyone in and out at a decent time. So
tickets are still the same, correct? 20, is it? Can you go over that again?
Okay.
It's $25 for stadium and $30 for orchestra.
Okay. And it's $5 more at the door, I believe?
No, we're actually going to leave it the same at the door, correct?
That's good to know. And then you could get your tickets online at the Fairfield Community Arts Center website?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay. And it's going to be held 2 performances. All right. Just 2 performances. One at 7 on April 7th, right? And one at 3 p.m. on April 8th. And then what time does the doors open?
So we're actually thinking of possibly opening them earlier because we have vendors interested in also participating. So we want to give our vendors enough time. So maybe an hour to an hour and a half before the show to open the doors. And
I know Easter weekend's a big weekend for a lot of people, a lot of families. What's kind of like the duration of the actual play from start to finish? Usually an estimate time.
Anywhere from 2.5 hours. I'll say this. This production is like watching a movie on stage. Would you agree, Christina? Because she was the one. I was asking her so many questions. Like she's been coming to our rehearsals now,
Yeah.
And she's getting a chance to see the behind the scenes or how we're getting everything prepared, and she's seeing the changes. And a lot of times I'm looking for her reaction, and I'm like, ooh, that must be good. So
Right.
I've been asking her so many questions about the difference in this go around for this production versus what we did in January, and thus far she's really enjoying the changes.
So you say
The
about
audience.
you say about 2.5 hours, maybe 3 hours, depending. I mean, but hey, listen, it's a theater play. It has a lot of inspiring messages. Don't put a time frame on it. Give you guys, give the audience, whoever's going to come and watch it enough time. Hey, give yourself enough time to actually watch it through and through, because you don't want to miss a point. It just, you mentioned that, Terry, brought up a very good question. I got to ask both you, Christina and Nikel. How much of being behind scenes, watching how the actual production, and the actors, those roles on the screen help you contribute to put to the final product that, that comes April 7th and April 8th? You know what I'm saying? Like, how much of you guys having to watch that helps you, contribute to the final product?
Well, as far as me, it helps me see, like, first of all, seeing the process. I've noticed them growing in confidence, but it also helps me to see where they can be helped, as far as like, I guess, areas that they're not as confident in or need help in. So I just look for ways that I can help in that way. Honestly, other than that, they've been amazing. Like, they're awesome on stage, awesome off stage. So it's been really cool to see behind the scenes and all the hard work that they put in.
I would say definitely making them feel comfortable backstage and giving them, I mean, we actually have massage therapists that come in and give them massages to kind of relax them. They put on their headphones and go into just a zone to get into character, practice, blocking on stage and off, feeding them well. They're well taken care of. Everyone has to eat. That is the rule. So
that was one of my biggest, interesting things to know. Last time around was like in between, in between shows and all the stuff after shows. But listen, it's gonna be a fun time, and this is only the bottom what you guys are capable of doing, and I can't wait to see what more has to come. And I hope that as you guys take it on the road, that I can get you guys back on here again and start promoting that, and just keep on talking about you guys and the more future performances you guys have to come.
Absolutely, we can actually do a podcast from every city that we go to. Justin, how about that?
It's not hard at all, and definitely getting you guys out there. Well, Christina, Terry, Nikel, thank you guys for your time. I appreciate talking with you guys, and I look forward to seeing you guys, and good luck April 7th, April 8th. Love's Not Enough. Tickets are available. Get them now. Community Arts Center, Fairfield, Ohio.
Thank you so much, Justin.
Thank you.
A lot. Take care.
You guys take care. Have a great one.
You too. Have a good one, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Alrighty, that was Christina Flowers, Nikel Chappell, and Terry Chappell. Love's Not Enough. April 7th, April 8th at 7 p.m. and at 3 p.m. Get your tickets now. Let's step aside and take our final break of the afternoon. Let's come on back, wrap up the show, get you guys ready for the weekend. You guys are listening to The Throw-In here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel.
She goes her own way, like I don't give a damn, girl. And my God, she owns it. So many heartbreaks, goes back to 2014, and I think that she knows it. And if you've seen her, I know that you would believe it, 'cause I know that you'd want her to. Yeah, I do. Everyone's taking their shot, but missing out on the cut. I think she knows that. She drives them crazy when she's looking like that. The way she's moving makes her want it so bad. It's the attention that we wish that we had. Yeah, it's all
Alrighty. 7:51, last part of the show. Let's come on back and let's get you guys ready for the weekend, you guys. SmackDown tonight at 8 p.m. coming right up here, and we'll get to our final thoughts on that in just a moment, you guys. Man, what a great interview we had from Love's Not Enough. Final play here right now for now in the Cincinnati area. They're looking to take it on the road. So if you missed out back in January, recommend you guys heading on out to the Community Arts Center in Fairfield, Ohio on Easter weekend. They got two performances, one on April 7th at 7 p.m., one at 8 on April 8th at 3 p.m. Get your tickets now. They are selling out fast. And if not, you're going to have to go on the road with them wherever they go. And I don't know if that's going to be a pleasant thing. But great interview from Christina Flowers, Nicole Chappell, and Terry Chappell. Wonderful roles. And you know, it's part of the role of saying, hey, listen, whatever you see on the screen, there's also a crew behind the screen making it all possible. Whatever you see on the stage, there's a crew beyond the stage that makes it all possible. And man, it's also, we also got a chance to interview some new people, because then we got, this was Christina's first time. She just joined the crew and she looks like she's fit in like she's always been there. And then Nicole, who talked to me before the program, says, I'm a little nervous, and I hope everything went well on her end. And hopefully it encourages her and it motivates her to step, to continue to want to continue going out there doing interviews. And the only downfall is that when you get a chance when you got multiple people on the screen, you got to get all the information out at once. And sometimes you end up having, not everyone doesn't get all the conversation, out there. Alrighty, those Cincinnati Reds picked up a victory tonight over the Arizona Diamondbacks. Man, you think about it, 2 more days and they come on home. And, as I mentioned to you guys at the beginning of the program, we're going to do a lot of Reds topics, conversations coming to you guys starting Monday, leading up to the opening day series against the Pittsburgh Pirates. I think it's Zach Gallen that will get the nod to open up for the Cincinnati Reds. MLB 2023, the show is out Tuesday. Hopefully people could get their games. I'm complexing. Do I get it or not? I got the WWE 2K23, and I think it's a fantastic game. I love the graphics. They make it really look real. So the Cincinnati Reds have a game tomorrow against Chicago, 9:05. Lucas Sims gets on the mound. Then they have a split squad to finish off spring training. One on the road. Well, basically it's home, but they're the visiting team against the Cleveland Guardians, and the next one against the Colorado Rockies. So if you guys are looking to check out any games this weekend, finish up spring season, get you guys ready for opening day. All right, the final or the Elite 8 will be contending this week. And right now, scores update. San Diego State is down by 4, just 5 minutes into the second half. And almost with about 4 minutes left in the first half, Miami is up 37-31 against Houston. So we'll see how that goes. Saturday, tomorrow, as I mentioned to you guys, the Elite 8 continues. FAU takes on Kansas State at 6 o'clock. And then at 8:50, UConn takes on Gonzaga. And honestly, my opinion is going to be Kansas State takes on Gonzaga in those final games. And I think Gonzaga is going, in the Final Four. So those are those 2 picks for tomorrow. I have Xavier and taking on, I believe it's going to be Xavier and then the winner of this Houston. I'll have Xavier go to the Final Four, in my opinion. Alabama will probably beat San Diego State, and then they'll go on to face Creighton. Alabama will be the final two going into the Final Four, so that's going to be fun, interesting to talk about. All right, AEW Dynamite's tonight. Okay. And what does that mean? You know, as well as SmackDown, and we are on the road to WrestleMania. Still, SmackDown is set under your way. Here's what we got to know: is we talked about all the way through the program. Cody Rhodes seeks a notch to win over Imperium's Ludwig Kaiser, whoever you want to announce it. Rey Mysterio aims to say goodnight to LA Knight. And Drew McIntyre, Sheamus, and Gunther decide a contract for the Intercontinental title match at WrestleMania. We will also hear from Dominic Mysterio, who will confront the Rey Mysterio family. So as we come back on the air on Monday, which we will be back Monday, we will be looking to talk about what happens on Friday Night SmackDown. All right, will Rey Mysterio go ahead and accept the challenge of Dominic for a father-son match at WrestleMania? And like I mentioned, I hope and I pray that this kind of lingers out to the Hall of Fame ceremony next Friday, which is going to be a busy weekend. And then also, I'm kind of interested, and I think that's the biggest thing. And if everything goes out as planned, I think coming on Monday, because we got to give you the shows of the week and the athlete of the week, SmackDown may take that lead for the very first time. So that will be coming up on Monday. Superstars of the week, show of the week. Start talking about some Reds. We will visit the Milwaukee Brewers on Monday. All right, fair enough. And then we'll talk about the road to WrestleMania kicks. All right, we got to talk about WrestleMania, the final Raw, the final SmackDown, the final NXT show before a big WrestleMania weekend that includes NXT, Stand and Deliver, Hall of Fame, all that good stuff still to come next week. This is what we've been waiting for, is next week as we wind down the show. So come back and we'll also talk about opening day Reds, because the next game after the weekend will be the Pittsburgh Pirates on Thursday. So the week is done. We want to say thank you to everyone who tuned in. Thank you for Christina Flowers, Terry Chappell II, and Nikel Chappell for coming on the program and having a wonderful time talking about Love's Not Enough. We'll do more interviews. We'll have more segments coming your way. If you guys are tuning us in on our live stream platforms such as YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, thank you. Hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Let your friends know. We'll be back Monday. Don't know what time. Hopefully check our social medias. We'll let you know. And also, if you guys are listening to us on our audio platforms, this episode will be uploaded here shortly. And we'll look forward to seeing you guys Monday. Thank you guys for tuning into The Throw-In here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. Take care.